Hi everyone, today's video is going to be on data validation lists. What I'm going to show you today is how to do unlimited levels for dependent drop-down lists. And I think this might be a first because I couldn't find anything similar on the internet. But yeah, if it isn't, do drop a comment and let me know, because it feels like I haven't seen this method before, and hopefully you guys will enjoy. So let's have a look at the data. It's got 7 columns, which means it'll have 6 levels of dependent drop downs once it's constructed. So first column is item, second column is country, third column is county, and then from count we get borough, borough to town, town to zone, and the last one is just a random yes no. So where you have 7 columns, you can have 6 levels. This method can easily be applied to more than 6 levels. I'm going to demonstrate 6 levels just so you can get the gist, and hopefully apply it to your own examples. Whether you need 4 levels, 5 levels, even 8 levels, it should still work. So let's begin. So the first step would be we need helper columns. So where you have 7 columns, you're going to need 6 helper columns. So I'm going to produce 6 helper columns. And just so you're aware, this is a table object that I'm working with. So this is all a table basically. I'm going to color this slightly different so we know these are helper columns rather than real columns, so to speak. And within here, what we want is for level 1 to show item concatenated with an underscore and then country, so that'll be microphone underscore England, and we want level 2 to show microphone underscore England underscore Avon, and level 3 to show the rest, etc. So an easy way we can do that is to use the TEXTJOIN function. I've got these formulas hanging around in this spreadsheet just so this video is a bit quicker, otherwise it may be too long and engagement might be a bit difficult to keep. So what we're doing here, we're gonna copy this formula into all of these cells, the helper cells, and basically it's a text join with an underscore where A2 is fixed on column A but B2 is floating, so when we go across it will capture more columns. So yep, and control enter, and that'll fill in the helper columns for us. That's the first step. Took a bit of time there. The reason being is if you want 6 levels of drop downs, yeah, it's nearly 370,000 rows we're dealing with here. So the next bit is to set up helper tables, and for 6 levels we need actually 6 helper tables. The first one is just a unique list of the first column. But yeah, let's begin. So the first level, which will be the first column, just needs to be a unique list of the first column. So equals unique. The array is the first column, close bracket, done. The second helper table we need is a unique list of the first and the second column. So it will be equals unique and first and second column, and then close bracket, and we want that sorted. So on our drop down lists it's in alphabetical order. It's a bit more neater, comma 1 at the end for sort by first column. What did I do wrong there? Oh, Unicode, unique. See, there's no use in rushing. Silly mistakes like that. There we go. So now we've got a unique list of items and countries there. As I go by, I'm going to be checking my notes. Yep, that's right. The third helper table we need is going to be the unique list of the second and third column, which is country and county. So let's do that. I don't actually have choose cols in my, so my subscription needs to be updated. Ideally you want to use the function choose cols, but because I don't have that, I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, which is setting up a 1, 2, 3 array in a choose function. But yeah, it'll get you the same result. So 1, 2, 3, and we want country, county, and level 1, and that's for the sake of getting a unique identifier for that helper table, and we want that to be unique. And we want that sorted by the first column, so the drop down data validation lists are in alphabetical order, comma 1. And there we are. Just checking I did that right. I certainly did. And you just keep going basically. So we did country and county, which were the second and third. The next table is going to be county and borough, which is third and fourth. The next table is going to be borough and town, fourth and fifth. Yeah, I'll be as quick as I can. I'll get these helper tables set up. Equals choose one, 2, 3, and we want county and borough, and level 2. So it's always like 1 behind the first column. So county is the third column, and we always choose the helper column, which is 1 behind it, which is level 2. That's the pattern that has to be chosen. Unique, end, and then sort that by first column, so it's alphabetical. Bang. Again, I'll just check my notes, make sure I did that right. County, borough, level 2. Yeah, county, borough, level 2. Next one is going to be borough and town, equals choose 1, 2, 3, comma, borough and town. It's going to be level 3, and that's going to be unique. And we want that sorted on the first column. What did I do? Choose. Yeah, that should be curly brackets. Again, no use in rushing. Just want to make sure nobody falls asleep. I'll check that. Correct. So next, I'll just keep on going with the same pattern. So this is going to be town and zone. Good. We have the helper tables that we need. These are going to be quite important, essential in fact. So next section is to set up the data validation lists in here. The first column is obviously quite easy. It's just the unique list of items that we can find from the helper table called level 0. So select that cell, put hash on it, and that should be what we need. Yeah. The second one, country, is going to be the next helper column. So We need to select this though in a special way. Yeah, a bit of theory actually might be good before we do this. So if you've never used this XMATCH before, it's a good one. And the good thing about XMATCH is you can match on the first occurrence and the last occurrence of a value. So for example, where we got like try and find snooker table in this column, and we want exact match. If I press 1 now, it will find the first occurrence of snooker table, and that's on row 4, correct? And if I put -1 at the end, it'll find the last occurrence of snooker table, which is in row 6. Again, correct. So if we combine the first occurrence and the last occurrence in an index, you'll see some magic happen. Let's have a look. Index this range, and the row R1 is the first occurrence, column R1 is 1, and copy that with these 2 dots, which defines like a range, and instead of the first occurrence we want the last occurrence, -1. And look at that, that bit is actually the range of cells from here. XMATCH is a really good one to use for this type of data validation in conjunction with index. So I've seen examples where you can use a filter function. It fills out loads of columns if you transpose it, or loads of rows if you don't transpose it. That's fine if you're just looking for like 2 or 3 levels, but if you're looking for 4, 5, 6 levels, then it's a bit overkill, and you're better off finding the range you want using index XMATCH. And this is the logic that is going to be applied now in the next bit. So what we want here, I'm going to write the formula first and then apply it to a name range, just so I can make sure that it works. So XMATCH, actually just put a value in here first. Yep. Equals XMATCH that value, and I want to look up that value in this this helper table. Lock that F4 hash, but actually I don't want it to look up 2 columns. I want it to look up 1. I want it to find one of these columns, and that's going to be the first column. So again, I don't have choose cols as a function because of my subscription. So I'm going to use the index function again and force it to find the first column. I don't know if you're familiar with this notation, but this basically gives me a 2-column array, but only the first column of it. So I'm XMatching B3, which is snooker table, in the first column, which is range X2 to X10. Hope that makes sense. And then I want an exact match, and I want the first match. So yeah, 4. See, the same as the example that we did. And I want to put that into an index. And the array I want is that helper table again. F4 hash there. Row number this, and column number 2, because we want to get the country out of this, not the item. We already selected the item. And again, we're going to do the 2 dots to get the range out that we need. And instead of that bit being 1, we want it to be, sorry, not that bit, this bit to be -1 on the XMatch section. There you go. So that works. I'm going to check this formula with my notes. I just want to make sure I've got this right. B3 blah 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 minus 1 2 B3 minus 1. Yeah, I think that's correct. So it's actually this we want to this formula we want to use as a named range, and this named range is going to be level 1. So I'm going to input that here, level 1 unique list. And it's really important that you've got cell C3 selected when you input this formula. Good. So I'm going to delete that, and in here is going to be the data validation of a list for that range that we just made equals. If you press F3, you'll get a list of name ranges. Okay, so is that showing? Yeah, it's showing that. Cool. So the next bit we need is similar but slightly more complicated. In here, let me just select one of these. In here, we want to show we want to look up a concatenation, so it won't be just Scotland we're looking up. We want to look up snooker table underscore Scotland and then find the range that corresponds to that. So yeah, let's give this a go. Let me just have a quick look at my notes here. XMATCH, yeah, it's the match again. So I'm going to start off with the XMATCH, and then I want to look up it's actually a TEXTJOIN of the underscore that we had in our helper columns, 0, comma, and the text we need is that and that. Okay, find that, basically that value in lookup array, and it's the next one, level 2, F4 hash. So in that table array, but again, we don't want the whole range. We want that XMATCH to be looking up at the last column. So again, use that index trick. Because I don't have choose calls as a function, which I did, I have to force an index in so it can use the third column and just bring back the third column. I want an exact match, and I want the first match. Press enter, 154. So that's working. That found the first occurrence, and then we want to put that in an index, and we want to bring back that same helper table. So that one, lock it F4 hash, comma, and that's the row number. Column number is going to be 2, because we want the county. There you go. And then put that same thing in again with the double dots, and instead of the XMATCH looking at 1, we want it to be -1 to find the last one. Hopefully this works. There you go, Scotland, and it should have 9 options. This is quite a complicated looking formula, so let's try and make it simpler to write by using the let the let function. I want to define a level 1 as a range, and that range is going to be that bit there, which is our helper table range with the hash on it. And I want to define a concatenation, which I'll call this function ConCat, and this bit will be this TEXTJOIN bit. So I'm going to copy that out and put that here, and you'll see by doing this it will look a bit more easier to read. So wherever I see this hash sign, I want to replace that with level 1. So I see it here, level 1. I see it here, level 1. And I see it here, level 1. And wherever I see the TEXTJOIN, I want to replace it with this ConCat. So I see it there, and I see it there. And hopefully when I press enter, close that bracket, this still works. Yeah, good. And this is going to be our level 2 defined name. So I've copied that and I'm going to insert it into the name range. New level 2 underscore unique underscore list. And again, being careful that I've selected cell D3 when I write this. It's really important that the right cell is selected when we write this. Press OK, close. So now all of this should have a data validation list of that new defined name that we just chose. Level 2 unique list. Does that work? Yes, it does. So if we were to select Wales, does that give us Welsh counties? Yep, they look Welsh. So I'll select that at random. Now the cool thing is that formula is going to act as like a template, and all we do now is change everything here into L2s. Have I caught all of them? L2, L2s. Yeah. And then this ConCat just has another argument in it, D3. And the level 2 range isn't going to be AA anymore. It's going to be something else. Let me just find what it's going to be. So instead of AA, it's going to be AF for the next section. List AF 2 hash ConCat. Where is the name happening here? Level, oh, there you go. That should be level 2 as well. Okay. So that seems to work. I'm going to copy that out and define that as a name range. This is going to be level 3 now. Unique list. And again, I'm being careful. I've got cell E3 selected when I paste this in. Good. So all of that is going to be data validation for the new list name range that we just made now. And does that have the, yeah, that has all of the boroughs that we need. Fine. Again, same thing for town now. Before I do this, actually, I should see where the next one fits in. This is AK. AK. So again, level 3 here. And anywhere where I see level 2, I'll change it to level 3. I don't necessarily have to do this, but it's good practice to use clear variables. I could have just called it level without the number, but to audit that might get tricky, and even to teach it wouldn't be ideal. There you go, level 3, and then just adding the E3 at the end for that. Hopefully that will give us something useful. AK, of course. Yep, that's what we need. Copy that out. And define a name. This is going to be level 4 now. Level 4 underscore unique underscore list. Paste that in there. I've got F3, so F3 selected, which is good. That's important. OK, close. And again, the data validation list is going to be this new list that we just made. Source F3 level 4. OK, OK. Yep, those are Newport towns. Same thing again. Paste that in, change this to level 4 now, wherever it might occur. And then add in F3 there. And yeah, the AK needs to change to something. Need to check what that needs to be. AK is now, the next one down is going to be AO. Hopefully that brings something back. There you go. That's what we need. So I'm going to copy that out, delete, and that's going to be my named range for level 5. Press OK, close. That zone, data validation list, and the new one that we just made. OK, OK. Yeah, a lot of zones in that one. Let's pick another one. Maybe it will show less zones. Yeah, still a lot. Okay. And one last one left. Level 5. Yeah, and that's what we're expecting, a yes, no. So copy that into the name range. With cell H3 selected, of course. So all of that is going to be the new range that we just made. Yeah, yes, no. All right, good. So yeah, there we have it. That's how you do it. And this method you can just continue for any number of levels. Okay, I hope that's kind of useful. I'm gonna let's go over the method just one more time. What do we do here? We set up the helper columns in the beginning with this formula TEXTJOIN, and then we set up the helper tables. Level 0 and level 1 didn't have any concatenations on it, but the rest of the levels had concatenations on. So we can see where those answers came from, and you set up all of these helper tables, and then you use these formulas as named ranges, and set those name ranges up in the data validation list as you go along. And yeah, you should have what you're looking for. And I just want to go through the theory again one more time. Let's go over to the presentation and revise what we've just done. So how does it work? You have a data set, hierarchical data set, and we find using matchx the first occurrence and the last occurrence of a value, and then put that in an index, and that identifies a range. So for example, the value B, we can find a range for that, which is where B starts and B ends. Again, this happens naturally because we put our helper tables within the sort function, so it's sorted alphabetically. Once we found that range, we offset it by 1 to find what data validation list what it should contain given the value is B. And then, yeah, that's what's used basically within the data validation list. And that's what we use to define level 1 of the data validation column. Then the next bit is you continue on from that, given you've chosen, say, value 21. Find the first occurrence of 21, find the last occurrence of 21. Then give me the second column and put that in the data validation list, and that's the new defined name range for that data validation. And that's what we call level 2 unique list in our example. So yeah, you can have as many levels as you need using that same method. And the good thing about this is all of the name ranges are relative rather than absolute. So each of the drop down is specific to the values you put before. So where you got, for example, B and 21 and a plus sign, it'll recognize that's what I'm looking for as a concatenation and only give you the range that the next level is relevant for and not anything else. So that's a really cool feature actually. What have I written here? The way repeated values do not disturb the defined name range. Yeah, what I mean by that is you could have repeated values in a certain level, but it'll still be unique because the way you got to it is unique. So let me demonstrate that actually before we finish off. So I've got a note here, test town equals Epping Ongar, because I know that there's 2 examples of this particular town, and I'll show you what I mean. So if we're going to England and Greater London, we can get into Brentwood, and this might be right or wrong actually, but again, it's just an example. Under Greater London, Brentwood, we have 1 town, which is that Epping and Ongar. But Epping and Ongar actually occurs in Essex as well. Let me just get to that for you. Again, this is made up, by the way. This might be wrong or right. I don't know if there's a Brentwood in Essex or whether there's a Brentwood in Greater London, but it's just for illustration. So when I pick this option, again, it's the same value, Brentwood. And now we come up with more options for town. Does that make sense? Because in the old method, Brentwood would have just had 1 defined bunch of options. But here, because we got the same value, Brentwood, and it's coming up with different options depending on whether the county is Greater London or Essex. So this is a really cool feature of this methodology, and it makes it more robust when using it in different scenarios. Basically, everything doesn't have to be unique when you use this. it still works if there's duplicates within your data set, so to speak. Good. So yeah, there we have it. Again, I don't know if this method exists and whether I've just dreamt it up by looking at something else. If you have come across this method before, do let me know in the comments. I'll be very interested to see that. Let me know if you find it elsewhere. And as usual, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and looking forward to your feedback. Goodbye.